All right. Here we go. Live in living color. Welcome to another Wild Wednesday with the Runnin Thru the Jungle crew.
Hold on, asshole. Wrong day.
Wait,
Today's Thursday. Today's
what
Thursday.
happened?
It's Thursday, bro.
It's
I
still
told him
Thursday.
last week we were going to be on Wednesday.
Well, your schedule is your own world. That's just the way it is.
Damn. Damn. Oh, man. Well, my bad. My bad, world. We're here, though. We made it this week.
Yeah,
Let's get into
we're
the
alive.
show. Welcome back once again. We are running through the jungle. I'm your host, Brandon Herriott, here with your host, Tim Lyons and Justin Lacey. What's up, fellas?
What a do, gentlemen. Long time no see. I miss you homies.
Yeah, are you feeling better?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm still it's still hanging on. You guys can hear it in my voice. Just got a little bit more bass to my voice than I normally have. But yeah. I'm getting better though. I'm feeling better.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad to have you back this week. It's draft week, bro. Like next week is the NFL draft, so let's make this show count.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You get did you get the chest thing and sinus infection and all that jazz?
I got everything. I got
All of it at once?
I got knives in my throat, and then the next day it was sinuses, and then it's been in my chest for like the last 3 or 4 days. But it's like, man, just go away. Just go. Bye. Get out of here.
Yeah. I had really bad chest congestion, cough, earache, all that kind of jazz when I was in Nashville.
Yeah.
But I didn't let that stop me. You know what I mean? Michigan won a Final Four game while I was there. I definitely was out at Barstool having a good time for that. But we appreciate you guys rocking with us. We're not going to talk about the Michigan Wolverines today, of course. We are going to talk about Cincinnati Bengals, the AFC North, and the NFL draft. If you have not yet, please like, subscribe, hit that thumbs up wherever you get the podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, all those fun things. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, we appreciate you rocking with us. I haven't seen any comments from Double A. Somebody put out a warning, a watch list on him. Make sure he's okay.
Yeah,
Awesome
might
start.
have to check Twitter, see if he's on Twitter. Make sure he's still alive.
Well, we're on the wrong day. He probably was looking for us yesterday. That's my fault, but here we are. And we're going to get into, without further ado, get into the Bengals draft here, man. Like you said, Justin, we just got 7 short days at this time right now. Next week, 8:00 on Thursday, we start the draft. Bengals picking 10th. We've been talking about it for a while now. A lot of people in the media are starting to talk a little bit more after having the Bengals had a pretty quiet offseason, which was a nice change of pace. Not a ton of are we going to sign Trey Hendrickson's? Are we going to do this? We're going to do that. It was pretty quiet. We kind of got back to business, and that's what I think all of us were hoping for. But the media is starting to throw out some different picks out there. I've seen different things with people sliding to us I don't think are going to be available. I've seen things out there where they have us picking positions. I don't know. I've seen as recently. I've seen a couple Bengals talking heads out there putting Jeremiah Love to the Bengals at 10, and I will say this: those I think fit both categories. I don't think we're going to pick Jeremiah Love at 10, and I don't think it's going to be there anyway. I've seen, man, Mansour Delane is one that's picking up a lot now. I've seen some places have Sonny Styles falling to us. Again, don't think that can happen. I've had some people where I thought we were reaching a little bit on a defensive end. So I just curious out there, guys. All the media picks and all the mock draft stuff and everything out there. Any of them out there surprise you, or think that are maybe a possibility that you didn't think of, or maybe just far-fetched and you it's just that somebody doesn't know Cincinnati Bengals. Justin, I'll start with you on this one, man.
For me, I guess surprise wouldn't be the word because I kept my options open. But I'm gonna replace the word surprise with annoyed. I think that the pick that most annoys me, that I see a lot of talking heads talking about the Bengals picking, is probably Jamal McCoy with pick number 10. And there's been a lot of energy behind corner at pick 10, and I get it that the opportunity can be there. And I have opened myself up to that ideology, but Jamal McCoy is a very risky pick. And I just think that the Bengals should not be in a position to be picking a guy who's got a high volatile of risk right there. So that really just annoys me for real. I've seen it in a couple of mock drafts. I've seen a lot of fans really kind of been predicated on how the philosophy of the Bengals is, especially within the last recent years. Last year, we took Shamar Stewart with pick 17. That was kind of a risk. He was kind of a project that we was just basing off of his pure athleticism, thinking it was going to kind of work out. And it seems like that Jamal McCoy is kind of moving in that same category that Bengals fans, media fans, or whatever the case it may be, they're kind of looking at McCoy as
Mike Band, NFL Network mocked him yesterday. I saw.
And that's my point exactly. And that's the thing that frustrates me. Like I said, I'm just more annoyed by it, not surprised. I'm just annoyed by it because I understand that Jamal McCoy, he has the athleticism, he has the playmaking ability that if he is fully healthy, he can be looked at as the best defensive back in the draft. I understand that, but he hasn't played in a year. And I don't think that the Bengals more specifically need to be on this wavelength track that they need to be picking guys at risk with a top 10 pick that they have. So that is the thing that annoys me the most. Like I said, I understand and I get it, but fans has just been predicated on this mindset that the Bengals are going to steer one way and that they've left a couple of holes and they're already writing off one of the guys that's not going to be back within Dax Hill and DJ Turner. They're already kind of writing that off that the Bengals are not going to get both extended. So that's why a lot of energy has been behind corners. But does it really got to be Jamal McCoy though? Like, come on, guys. Like, this is where it really frustrates me when it comes to the picks being made and mocked to the Bengals.
Yeah, referencing said draft party last year, any of the regulars that have been around for a year saw me have a little mini crash out about the Shamar Stewart pick. We don't have the ability when we're spending all of our capital and money on offense to take defensive people that don't have production or that have high risk. I think what you're really describing there, Justin, is we have to have, especially in this first round, maybe even you'd say the first two rounds, we have to have high floors.
Mm-hmm.
They're just as important as high ceilings. You have to have high floors. You have to have somebody that can make an impact immediately on the team. And if somebody's coming back from injury and it may take them a little bit longer to work in, and we saw the Eric All thing, right? Great player. When he's out there off of injury, got re-injured. It's just tough. You don't know. You can't be in that situation. So I agree with you. I think that's a good take on that one for sure. Tim, any thoughts on yours here with the media picks that you've been surprised by?
I have been seeing a lot of Gerard McCoy, those conversations, but lately it's been Jeremiah Love. And as much as I love Jeremiah Love, I just don't think that that's that would be a home run for us because we know what we need to focus on this draft. It's been defense. I know I've seen some people saying that we're going to pick an offensive lineman in the first round, that kind of stuff. And it's just like, we don't know what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to do. Last year, I was staying on top of my roof telling them to pick Nick Emanwari safety, and next we're picking Shamar Stewart, defensive end that had no production, and the defensive coach saying he wasn't ready to be out there. Well, if he wasn't ready to be out there and you picked him in the first round, then what the hell were you thinking? And that's what I'm afraid that's going to happen. Like, if I see any more mock drafts with people taking Kendrick Falk in the first round, I'm just going to not watch football at all next year, because that's another situation that we're going to be into with Shamar Stewart. It's going to be it's Shamar Stewart 2.0.
It'll be worse. That'll be worse than Shamar Stewart. And Shamar Stewart was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But Kendrick Falk, he, at least with Shamar Stewart, and I'll let you finish, Shamar Stewart had at least the athletic profile. Kendrick Falk ain't got none of that, bro.
Yeah.
He just ain't got none of that.
And I do, I like the Delane, because I've seen some people saying that we're going to pick Delane into the 10th round. I like it to a certain extent. He's really good in man coverage, but I know Al Golden was trying to lean us more into a man, run and hit kind of defense, but we still play zone as well. And Delane is not, he's not a zone corner. He's a man-to-man corner. And don't get me wrong, I think he's a talented kid. And it wouldn't be a bad pick because I know when Al Golden was a defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, we ran man-to-man all the damn time. Man-to-man blitzes, man-to-man all the time. That's all we ran. And if we were to, shade off into the whole man coverage more, a higher percentage of running man, then I can see Delane as a good pick for us. But, it's the media, like I always say every year during this whole off season and the draft time, it's everybody's Christmas wish list. And I'm not going to take any solid, real solid answers from what the media thinks we're going to do. I've seen Mel Kiper, he's picked us to take Delane as well. And, I've seen and I don't know if it's because these agents are, paying these guys to push their guys in the draft and, and all that stuff. And it is what it is, but we'll see. We'll truly find out a week from today.
Yeah, it's interesting to try and when what we're doing, and we're trying to figure out what's true analysis and what's true noise, because there's a lot of noise out there, right? CBS, I saw in their mock draft, they had Reuben Bain mocked to the Bengals, and how about this at 11 going to the Miami Dolphins? They had Caleb Downs.
I saw that. I did. So I laughed. I was like, come on, no way.
So I don't think both of them will be there.
No.
But let's just say in the off chance that both of them do fall, what are your thoughts there? If you have Bain and you have Caleb Downs in front of you, Justin, who do you take?
Caleb Downs for me. I think that I will be happy with either one, but Caleb Downs is somebody that you never had before. Whereas you're not going to be forcing yourself into doing something that you've been comfortable with of what you had in the past, like with Trey Hendrickson and at edge rusher. Reuben Bain is the kind of person that he will push somebody off their spot to get on the field because he's just that damn good. But Caleb Downs is the kind of versatile player that can roam the back end in many different ways. And the Bengals ain't never had that before. You can talk about Jesse Bates, but Jesse Bates ain't Caleb Downs. And I like what Jesse Bates have brought to the table. But over those last couple of years, Jesse Bates has kind of not been the same free safety that we've known him to be. Whereas Caleb Downs, he has that kind of prototype built in the lab kind of physique that he can be better. Everybody's comparing him to Kyle Hamilton and Nick Minwar. He's like of that mold. Yes, I see what you're going with there. But Caleb Downs is just one of those guys that's different, man. I think about Bob Sanders when I look at Caleb Downs, but a guy that will stay healthy this time. I think of a guy like maybe not so much. Hold on, maybe not so much Troy Polamalu, but he has that rangy athleticism that he can really just be everywhere on the field in a blink of an eye. So that's who I would want personally. If it was between Reuben Bain and Caleb Downs, that's probably where I would go with. But sign me up for both any day.
Yeah, I'm not mad at either one. Tim, you would you take Downs or Baines in that?
So I'm gonna give you guys something, and you guys might think I'm crazy. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think Caleb Downs is a very talented safety. Excuse me. I've talked to other people about Caleb Downs a couple years ago as well, when he was playing for Ohio State before the draft and before last year and all that stuff. And Caleb Downs is very, very talented. I think he is the best safety since Kyle Hamilton to come out of the draft. I just think he is, and I might be a little biased when it comes to the Kyle Hamilton thing, but I also see a little bit of Ed Reed in Caleb Downs. It'll
be interesting to see what everybody thinks, right? Because you say best since Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton fell to 14, so maybe he is around then. But I mean, I've said it since the beginning. To me, with what John Harbaugh's pedigree has been with the Ravens, he makes a lot of sense of the Giants to me on a really porous, not only for his pass defense but his sure tackling too. So
but you could also argue, but you can also argue as a Giants fan, why wouldn't they go after Sonny Styles? Sonny Styles is a former safety himself. He's fast. You can drop him back in coverage. You can blitz him from the edges. So there's that. But this is a Bengals podcast, but that's another guy that I would take also. If Sonny Styles was to drop, that would be a guy that I would like to.
So I would say this going into analysis, I would take Sonny Styles. I think if Matt's another, we're getting ready to.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
The magic wand would definitely for me be Sonny Styles. But if you look at going into this draft, I would have said, if you give me this 10 and 11 and we're faced with these two players, Bain or Downs, I would have picked Bain because I would have said bigger need is to make sure you have as much pass rush as possible. And I like his motor, and I think he would help the entire line itself.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you this, Justin. This is something that you actually brought up several weeks ago that has kind of, maybe a couple months ago now, it's kind of stuck out in my mind. If you get a great safety or if you get a great corner, you could finally look at one position group or one portion of your defense and say, this is good, not average or below average, which is what we're dealing with right now in every other position group. But if you add a great corner or a great safety, now you can say, all right, our defensive backs, they're above average. And for that reason, I can't say that for sure if we had Bain. He still just might make it okay. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if he pushes it immediately over the first year. I think Caleb Downs could do that.
Right. Yeah, and then one other thing to note too. I know that there's a lot of smoke going around of Dexter Lawrence potentially being traded for the Giants, and I know Bengals fans got their ears all perked up or whatever about it. But let's say for the notion that it doesn't happen, of course. But if we do draft Bain, and again, this is not a slight on the notion because I will sign up for Ruben Bain all day, every day too. But you're still going to have a problem at interior, and you still are not going to be able to get any tackles. You're still going to have a run stuffing problem. Do not let the Boye Mafe signing fool you. Do not let the Jonathan Allen signing fool you. That is not enough for the interior of the D-line. And quite frankly, Ruben Bain does not solve that problem, but he can help with that problem. But his main strength is rushing the passer, affecting the game, much like we saw for 4 or 5 years now with Trey Hendrickson and others. That Ruben Bain just helps you forget about the drama of Trey Hendrickson, whereas Caleb Downs really just evolves you into something different that we've been needing and something you've never had before. That's my argument.
Yeah, I would say this.
And Justin, I agree with I do. I agree with you. I think Caleb Downs is that piece that we absolutely need.
What I was going to say is the media pick that was talked about that would surprise me is I've seen it leaked out there that we're going to trade our number 10 pick overall for Dexter Lawrence. How about no?
Yeah,
don't do that. He's an aging defensive, interior lineman who didn't have the production last year, was injured, and like now you got to go get a deal done. Like what are we doing? Right. We just avoided all that stuff.
Can I say something about that? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be real quick.
Yeah.
Because there has been a little bit of a report that was brought up about where the Giants and Dexter Lawrence stand, and that the Giants do want to, their dream is to get a haul for a guy like Dexter Lawrence. But they're also in a stalemate situation because they don't want to pay him what he's probably looking for. They're far apart when it comes into contract negotiations. He is coming off of a down year, but yet here we are talking about them wanting a first round pick and probably more. Like they want exactly to emulate the Quinnen Williams trade that the Cowboys made from the Jets. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. This is the thing I don't get. The Cowboys had enough ammunition to be able to pull off that trade, that midseason trade with Quinnen Williams, because they already had traded and got a lot of draft capital with the Micah Parsons with 2 first-round picks. That's why they were able to sacrifice one of them and package another one to get a guy like Quinnen Williams. For Dexter Lawrence for the Bengals, I'm not sacrificing pick 10. Here's what I would do. I will give you pick 41 in the second round, and I'll give you next year's first, because the theory behind it is that I plan on improving anyway going into 2026. So that means that my 2027 first round draft pick is going to be in the back end in the 20s, and you can have that. That will be the on par equivalent of if you were to, like how the how the Packers, they gave away one of their first for Micah Parsons. Well, it was in the 20s anyway. All right. That's where I'm at. I'm not giving you a top 10 pick. Sorry. I like Dexter Lawrence. He is a game wrecker. But I just think that, like, the Giants, they're going to see it. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and that's not what's going to work out here.
Agreed. All right, next subject here. We got moving day. The Bengals, historically, not making a whole lot of moves, especially down in the draft. Rarely up in the draft. Do you see moving day? Do you see that maybe this year would be the year where you see movement up or down in the draft? And if so, when do you think that could happen? Tim, what do you think?
You know, I don't ever see the Bengals moving up or down. You know, that's just, shoot, when was the last time that we moved in the draft?
I'll tell you.
Go ahead and tell me, because I know you got that damn in that Rolodex years.
2022 draft, when we traded up in the second round to draft Cam Taylor-Britt.
Okay. So there's an example. All right. But in the first round. So
it's been a long time though.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, it's been 4 years. So, but I don't know. I would say if our top 3 are not there at 10, there's a possibility we could drop. Because why would we stay in the top 10? Like if Downs, Bain, or Styles are gone at 10, why would we stay there? Why wouldn't we move down, get more draft capital for, round 2 or 3, whatever in the hell it is? That's the only way it makes sense to me, because like we said, in this draft, we need to make a statement for this team, this defense. I know a lot of people are like, well, what if Jeremiah Love drops to 10? I'm trading out. I'm trading down. You know what? I'm going to let whoever's down there below us, besides the Steelers or the Ravens, anybody else, I'm gonna trade down and let them move up to get Love.
Yeah, the two people that stand out in my mind that if they start falling and get into 10, that you could get a call and get a pretty decent haul for, would be Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs. If Caleb Downs is there, run up to the podium.
Yeah.
But I'll take calls about Jeremiah Love. I would.
Yeah.
I
agree. And I agree. And like I said, if our top 3 are not there at 10, why wouldn't we move down? Let's move down. Let's get, somebody else's, 17th, 15th, whatever, 20-something pick, and plus more draft capital, and to be able to make a statement in the second round, because they're going to have to pay us to move up. It's gonna make them pay probably next year's first rounder, so why not?
Now, I wouldn't crash out if we got Jeremiah Love either, just for the record.
I wouldn't either.
It would look pretty fun. It would look pretty fun.
It would be awesome, because I've and I know I'm a repeating record, and I know you guys are tired of hearing me say this every single year, but we need that thunder in that backfield that we do not have. I love Chase Brown to death. He's a hell of a running back. Samaje Perine is not that answer for that thunder. I think Jeremiah Love would be that Marshall Faulk thunder that we need in that backfield. But if we want to win Now we need to build on our defense.
Yeah.
And I still will shout from the roof that we need a safety. And that safety this year is Caleb Downs.
All right, Justin, what do you think? Moving day, do you see the Bengals moving up or down at all in this draft? And if so, where?
We know that in the first round, the Bengals are notoriously known for just staying pat. They're not doing any of that. They will probably trade back if their price seems right, but they won't trade up. The last time that they traded up for somebody was Kajana Carter, and we already know how that worked out. But however, trading up in the draft can typically happen in day 3. So they got a couple of 6th-round picks, a couple of 7th-round picks or whatever. They can probably package something like that and then put together something to move like back, take one of their 6th-round, move it into the 5th round. I don't care about that. Here's what I would do. You guys already pretty much echoed and chomped the bits at a lot of it here. But here's also another angle how I will go about this to demonstrate that I'm really aggressive and serious about getting the guy that I want. The New York Giants are the inflection point for where you got to pay attention to what they might do. The top 4 guys, I have a safe, desirable confidence that they're not going to get your favorite 3. Ruben Baines, Sonny Styles, Caleb. I just got a feeling that they're not going to touch those guys. One of those 3 guys is probably going to be gone by the New York Giants. And if the New York Giants start to pick off one of those guys, then you got to pay attention to other 2 being quickly falling off the board too. This is where I think that the Bengals need to make the aggressive decision and look to make a trade up from like 10 to 7 to make sure you secure one of those 2 other guys or one other guy, whatever the case it may be. I think that the Bengals, they do have to show that. Yes, it may cost you a risk of sacrificing maybe potentially next year's first or a 3rd and a 4th or whatever. But you need to start to show that aggressive willpower that you're going to do whatever it takes to win and secure your long-term future by getting the guy that you want, that you know is going to be sustainable for your team. That's what I would do. We already know what they're not going to do because the Bengals are very systematically built the standard way. They're notoriously known for standing pat and letting the draft board just talk to them instead of dictating the terms of the draft themselves. But like I said, moving down and moving up, that flexibility tends to happen on day 3. I know I mentioned that the last time that they traded up in the draft was in 2022 for Cam Taylor-Britt. That ended up working out to an extent because I wasn't mad about them doing that. Cam Taylor-Britt was fine for the first couple of years until his eventual fall off. But I would like to see a little bit more of that. But also, too, they just don't have the draft capital, man. They just don't have the draft capital to be able to afford those kind of moves. That's also another reason why we haven't seen them do that. And they are not willing to give up on players so quickly to sell them off for parts to get more draft picks like the Miami Dolphins typically do.
Yeah, they don't do it very often. I don't expect them to do it in this draft. If they do, I agree with you. I think somewhere in that 3rd round, they could possibly, add a 6th round into there and move 2 or 3 spots for somebody. There's a couple guys I like in the 3rd round that I if they wanted to move up a few spots and try to get their guy. Derek Moore, 6'4", 255 edge rusher out of Michigan. If they don't get an edge rusher in the 1st round, maybe move up a couple spots to try and snipe him. Grayson Houghton from the defensive interior from Oklahoma. Or there's a couple of other like defensive interior guys in the 3rd round that I think would fit too. So I agree with you. I think if you do see somebody moving or see the Bengals moving, it'll be in that 3rd round to me specifically. So, but short answer is no. Now, what I would do, I agree with Tim 100%. If I got a Mount Rushmore, I got 4 guys. If my 4 guys aren't there, I'm answering the phone. As long as I can stay 17 and forward, I'm answering the phone. I think that's where we start seeing drop-offs in some of the value of positions we would like to see. So, all right, before we get into the rest of the draft coverage, we're going to real quick take a break, hear from our sponsors. If you're with us on YouTube, we'll be right back in a second. If you're listening, go ahead and take this time to hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend about Running Through the Jungle. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Runnin Thru the Jungle. Again, we've been talking about the NFL draft, just like everybody else. The difference with us and everybody else, one mock draft. We did one mock draft. That's it. That's all you get. Tim wasn't even here for it. He got out of it.
I did 0.
Yeah, he got out of it.
I did.
That's good. All right, so this is one of my favorite subjects here, because this is where I really think we need to find a diamond in the rough. I keep saying we need to have 3 or 4 impact players from this draft on that Bengals team, specifically 3/4 of it in defense. So where are the Bengals going to find some favorite late round sleepers of yours that you think could impact the Cincinnati Bengals this year and years to come? Tim, I'm going to throw it out to you first. Give me a late round sleeper. If you want to cheat and throw the 3rd round in there, I'll let you, but I'm talking 4th round and later.
Well, I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna go 3rd round because I really like this kid. He's aggressive. He's a smart, versatile cornerback out of Arizona State, Keith Abney. He's aggressive. I know he's got a lot of flags called on him throughout the season, but that's not because of panic. That's just because of how aggressive he is. I think that's somebody that could really help our defense. I know he's only 5'10", but he's fast. I think he ran a 4.4, maybe under a 4.4, whatever now it was. But Keith Abney out of Arizona State would be one of my 3rd round, late round sleepers for me.
All right, I'll dig it. That's a good sleeper, though. Not a lot of people buzzing and talking about him, especially with Bengals circles. So the 3rd round is well used. Way to use your audible there. All right, now listen. I know you're pretty much giving up after the 4th round, Justin. You're punting after the 4th round. So I'm guessing you're going to be a 3rd or 4th round guy here too. Who do you got on a sleeper you'd like to see the Bengals take?
I am going to dip into the pool of wide receiver just because I feel like that there is value there, that hidden value there that I believe that the Bengals need to be able to tap into. I'm looking at guys like Zachariah Branch, wide receiver out of Georgia. I'm looking at wide receiver Cyrus Allen out of University of Cincinnati, hometown guy. I think that these are guys that can really appear themselves and to intertwine what we already have done with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. All we need is that added guy that can just blend right with the 2 of them. Everybody likes to point at the slot and be like, oh, we need a Tyler Boyd replacement. I am looking at something exactly how I said about the Caleb Downs and the value of wanting to be something different, the evolution behind it. I need somebody that knows how to run routes on the outside, and it's not Yoshi. And I need somebody that's a little bit more pungent when it comes to their red zone threats, and I definitely know it's not Charlie Jones or anything like that. And instead of trying to get a gadget guy that's not working out very well, give me somebody like that can stretch the field a little bit. And so that way, when Jamar Chase does to get some moonlight action in the slot, he can dominate and run that without any fear of a linebacker or safety trying to cheat coverage his way and then having a slot corner going man-to-man on him, because you know that the guy that you got is a burner and quick and can stretch the seam down the field on the outside. And I think that those are 2 guys, in my opinion, that I will go for in the later rounds.
I dig it. That's a good call. Tim, I saw you peeking around over there. You got anything to add there?
Yeah, I had one more guy, and I don't know what round he's going to go in. Jack Godet from Cincinnati, the linebacker.
Yeah, the
3rd round. 3rd round also. Okay, well, that's another guy that I was looking at some of his film earlier today, and I was like, "Woo, that kid's got some hitting on him." So that was another one of my late rounders.
Plays with a little bit of violence, which I've been advocating for.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, people have been comparing him a lot to Logan Wilson, him and Jacob Rodriguez. I get it, but again, they're different players, man. If you just watch the tape, I don't know because he's a white linebacker and that they want to say that, but that's not. I don't see Logan Wilson out of Jake Godet. I don't see Logan Wilson out of Jacob Rodriguez. If you want to get a comp for like a Jacob Rodriguez, it's Drew Tranquil from Kansas City. That's a guy that I can see definitely being something, but he has a great day 2 projection on him with 2nd round pick.
Yeah, but I was looking
pretty well.
Yeah, I was looking at that Jack Godet out of Cincinnati, and
Jay
when
Godet.
I was Godet, yeah, sorry, I know I'm butchering his name, but he hits. That kid hits. He don't remind me of no Logan Wilson, just besides his skin color. That's it.
I'll tell you, Jacob Rodriguez is a guy I've been mocking constantly.
I like him too.
When you bring him up for the
Yes.
Bengals, I really like him. I liked him when I was just watching this tape. And then I heard Luke Kuechly say that he's the best green dot linebacker in this draft, including Sonny Styles. And I was like, ooh, I feel like that guy has a little bit better pedicure to judge what a middle linebacker should do more than me. So I'm gonna stick with that pick.
I like it.
Listen, I got mine both come from round 4. If you saw our mock draft, if you've seen some of my stuff, Tyrant Tate makes me do a bunch of mock drafts over there at the homies and whatnot. It's a guy I've been consistently trying to find and look for. Bud Clark, safety out of TCU. Same thing, plays with a little bit of violence, and I like his game. And he seems to be falling into that 4th round. Another guy I really like, though, and he took a visit with the Bengals. He's an Ohio kid. He was an All-American this past year. Defensive interior help. Really good 3 technique, but tough enough to stand up to the run, too. I like Landon Robinson out of Navy.
Oh, yes.
I see him falling into that 4th round a lot. If he's there in the 4th round, man, I think it's a steal for the Bengals.
Yeah, I agree.
He's tough, hard nose, good pedigree. I like it. All right. So we talked about what we want to see. Now let's talk about what we don't want to see. I've referenced crash out more than once. Is there somebody that you think the Bengals might take that might lead you to a crash out? Justin? Somebody's name on this podium you hear from the Cincinnati Bengals that makes you crash out. Who might it be?
I got 3, but I'm only going to give you 2. I'm going to because I already mentioned one.
You got to leave them for us first. You got to rotate it.
Give
me one, and then rotate it. And if we don't get it, then pile on.
I want to save that one for Tim to give because I already know he already gave a spoiler action. But for pick 10, get me far away from Peter Woods as possible unless I trade back into the 20s or whatever. And if he's still there, then fine. Now, again, this doesn't mean that Peter Woods can't be a good player in this league. He has a chance to be Dexter Lawrence 2.0 based off of his potential. But he hasn't worked out at the combine. He didn't even do a pro day. He's talking real spicy and stuff like that for a guy that really did absolutely nothing. And I don't want no smoke with Peter Woods at pick 10, but I just have a feeling that the Bengals will piss off many Bengals fans if they were to take him at pick 10 because they need to be able to satisfy the depths of their interior early on in this draft because the hidden value is just not going to be there later. Yes, I know you had mentioned already a guy like Landon Roberts, but I don't see Landon Roberts no different than I saw McKinley Jackson or Chris Jenkins on his roster. I need to see him prove it on this team. But keep me far away from Peter Woods as possible unless I trade back and get into like range 17, 18, 19, 20s and stuff like that. That's when I will be like, all right, I'll entertain him then. But I don't want him. And I feel like the Bengals might look at a guy like that and be like, we anticipate production just like how they did last year with Shamar Stewart, and it'll piss me off. And I will not want to watch any more games, even though I am going to watch the games.
All right, Tim. Who could get you crashing out this year?
That's going to be Falk. Falk is really the guy. That is the guy that we cannot afford to draft. I don't care if he's got the athleticism, whatever. I don't want to hear that bullshit no more. I want to see production on the field that he did in college the year before. I want to see that production. Don't get me wrong. When they said, Shamar Stewart, his athleticism, and he's fast and blah, 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 blah. But then you looked at his production in college. That's the same thing that we get with Falk, but worse. So if we go for Falk, you're not even going to see me on the Running Through the Bengals Running Through the Jungles podcast no more, because I ain't gonna have nothing nice to say about the Cincinnati Bengals defense the whole damn year. Because here we go again. Let's try this Shamar Stewart 2.0 project, and let's piss down our leg and be the 32nd ranked defense in the league. It better not happen. It just better not happen.
All right. Was that on your list, Justin?
It was. That's why I said I saved him, because I knew Tim was going to go on a rant about it, and I was not going to steal that thunder. I let him rant about that because that was the easy punching bag for me. But I was like, you know what? Let me go for another punching bag that I feel like that can be said, but it won't be said at the same time. And I 100% agree with the Keldrick Falk selection, because the thing is, Keldrick Falk is not as athletic. He doesn't have the athletic profile built like Shamar Stewart did last year. And he's kind of like of the Michael Williams from last year's draft mode. But again, can he shock us and shock the world and produce? Absolutely. I mean, and then people be like, "Oh, see, we should have had them." They can do all of that. Okay, it is a lottery ticket when you're talking about the draft picks and whatnot. But at the end of the day, man, I need proven commodities, and it ain't him.
Raise that floor. Raising the floor. That's what we're trying to do here.
He ain't got a floor or a ceiling.
Got to raise this floor on this pick, and I agree with that one. Justin, who else you got out there? Because I've got one. My pick, my real pick was Keldrick Falk. So my other one is a little bit outside of the box, and I might get a little backlash from it, and I don't care. So I'm going to let you go ahead and ride with your third one. Who's your third?
It's Jamal McCoy. I don't want to see that pick. And don't get me wrong. Again, I know I talked glowingly about him, saying that he has the potential to be the best corner in the draft if he were to stay healthy and show that his athletic profile measures up and translates to the NFL. But I don't want that risk at 10. And I think the Bengals should stay far away from it as possible. I see a lot of people talking themselves into it because you've seen a lot of mocks out there, but I would not be on board with that. And in fact, if they were to pick him in pick 10, they are literally going to light their draft on fire, because all they're going to do is prepare for the future loss of another one of their two corners who currently are active on a roster right now, and they're just planning for the future, kind of like how they did with drafting Dax Hill in the first round to game plan for the loss of Jesse Bates, kind of like how they drafted Shamar Stewart or Miles Murphy to game plan for the eventual losses of Joseph Asai or Trey Henderson. That's where I see this exactly becoming with Jamal McCoy. You can even make, to an extent, Mansour Delane too, but I think that I'll be more comfortable with Mansour Delane if my top three guys are off the board and I were to be open the corner. Mansour Delane, I will be okay with for now. Will it make me happy? No. But Jamal McCoy will definitely not make me happy, just because the Bengals just do not carry a risk. They do not carry the pedigree of being able to develop risky guys well. They just don't. It will just make me feel very much like if they got when they got William Jackson in 2016. Y'all remember that draft? Everybody and their mama thought that they got to steal. Darquez Denard, everybody thought at the time that we got to steal. I just knew that, man, the only reason why we drafting these corners is the guy that we drafted before in the first round kept not panning out. So they kept having to replace the need with another need. And that's the stuff that pisses me off with this team. So that's why that's on my list.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Now, here's the thing. I think he's going to be a good corner in the league. The problem is year one, you don't know how it's going to come out of the gate, and it's probably going to take a little bit of time, get his sea legs under him and come back from this injury. And guess what? Joe Burrow told you that the window was whenever he was here, and he's here, and he's coming back healthy this year. We need people that make impacts this year, not future years. So I agree 100% with you. I will give you one a little bit outside of the box. This is a guy that if Caleb Downs isn't there, or if we trade back a few places, I've seen him mock to him. Dylan Thieneman.
There it is.
Safety from Purdue.
No.
Transferred to Oregon.
I quit.
So here's my thing. I think he's a pretty good safety. I think he's a good safety. I think he's going to have a good pro career. I want to say that. But I think if you don't get Caleb Downs, that next group gets all bunched up, and I think you're going to find guys that have just as good of careers with him in rounds 3 and 4 in this draft that you will him, who's mocked right now going somewhere in the 16 to 19 position right now. So I don't think that's where you really, really, really hone in and take taking a swing. Even if you trade down to 15, taking a swing at him, I think is the wrong move. So I think I'm gonna get some snuff from some people. We got the frustrated Chicago fans in here. Impacts for 2026. He likes the sound of that, writing it down.
And here's the thing, too, regarding the Dylan Thiemann. I actually like Dylan Thiemann, too, just in the back end of the first round. But I can truly see the Bengals doing that, too. It will be very much on par to where in 2018, they wanted Frank Ragnow, and then he was gone and sniped up. And then the very next pick, they took Billy Price. Now, Ohio State fans turned Bengal fans. At the time, they was all for it until he turned out to be a shit show. And now, all of a sudden, they're like, oh, we never should have did that. Well, when you reach for a guy like that with pick number 10, and he doesn't measure up to the exact same equated value, and then you got guys that comes in after him that has better careers, all you're going to do is just make other people mad all over again. And it's just so on par to what the Bengals have done with their draft strategies in recent years. There are times and there are moments that they take too heavy and BBs of a risk, and it just blows back in their faces. And as what Joe Burrow said, yes, his window is his whole career, but I don't even lean onto that punchline. I pay attention when he said last offseason during media row is that, dude, we ain't got time to wait. And then they went out and drafted Shamar Stewart, and then they got guys like Demetrius Knight in round 2 and Barrett Carter in round 4, and these guys ain't did shit. That makes me so mad because we told y'all we ain't got time to wait on y'all to figure it out. And then Shamar Stewart did what he did. I'm not saying that a guy like that is going to be on the horizon at pick 10, but it's one of those things you got to make sure you get an absolute productivity at this pick. And if your top 3 guys ain't there, or one of them is gone quick, you got to be aggressive and go and get that guy. That's all I'm saying. And that's all we're saying.
Yep. And I'm probably going to get a little bit of backlash because, hey, it's far-fetched. You know why it's not far-fetched? It's because the Bengals have made me crash out by doing shit like this over my history as a fan.
And the thing is with Thiemann, I liked Thiemann last year, or no, I'm sorry, not last year, the year before when he was with Oregon. He played great ball. Then he went to Purdue.
No, vice versa. He was at Purdue with Oregon. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I liked him when he was at Purdue. He played great ball. But when he came to Oregon, I don't know if it was the regime change, the coaching changes, the scheme changes, or whatever. But I think Thiemann the year before would have been a better draft pick.
He played deep free safety at Purdue, to your point, where he played more of a hybrid role at Oregon. And I think he's better at deep free.
Right. So that's how I see Thiemann, and I think that's going to be a big failure for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I am. Let's not take him and not have to worry about that.
Amen.
All right. Here's what today all comes down to. And the reason why it all comes down to for this is next Wednesday, we will not be doing a show. This Wednesday, we were supposed to. My bad. Next Wednesday, we are not going to be doing a show. We're talking about the draft till we're blue in the face. I might do a short if there's some new breaking news, but for the most part, we're going to be doing reaction stuff for the draft. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be sporadic all over the place and anywhere you get your podcast, and always on our YouTube channel. And you may see me live on our YouTube channel from the draft. Hopefully you can hear me. I make no promises about that, but I am pretty loud. But here it is. I think we all agree Bengals aren't going to trade the 10th pick. So what's your final answer? Who do the Bengals take in the 10th pick of the draft? Who's going to be there for them, and who are they going to take? Tim, I'm going to let you ride first on this one.
So, you know what? So I'm going to, so since I missed you guys last week, I've been sick battling this whole crud here. I'm going to give you my first 3 rounds real quick. This is what I would like to see. This is what I would like the Cincinnati Bengals to do. So we got my Rushmore. We got Styles, Bain, and Downs at number 1. But I want Downs. I want Caleb Downs as our number 1. That's who I want. That's who I'm running. I'm pushing Duke Tobin over. I'm kicking Mike Brown over. I'm running to the podium. And I'm saying Caleb Downs. The Cincinnati Bengals have selected Caleb Downs from the Ohio State University safety at number 10. That's who I'm picking. Now, that being said, at number 2, there's another Big Ten guy that I really like. Moore out of Michigan, defensive end. Power. He didn't get 10 sacks for just on accident last year. He just, didn't fall into getting 10 sacks last year. That's my number 2 guy. Because you know what? We got Caleb Downs in the first round. I don't need to go searching for anything else. And I know Moore. I'll watch tape on Moore. Moore, when he is on point, when he is firing on all cylinders, he is just a wrecking ball. And I think he's a great fit. He needs some work when he's not firing on all cylinders. He does need some work, so need some pro help. But I think he'd be a solid second rounder for the Cincinnati Bengals, a rotational piece between Mafe and Stewart. Those guys. At number 3, I mentioned him earlier. Keith Abney out of Arizona State, corner. He's aggressive. I know he's only 5'10". We can put him in a slot position. Work him in there, get him under control to get his aggressiveness, kind of boxed in to where, he is handsy, but his play last year, I know he played for Arizona State. His play was phenomenal. He was one of the top Big 12 corners in the league last year. He's aggressive. When he got flags, it wasn't because he was, oh shit, let me hold somebody, PI, whatever. No, it was because he's that aggressive. And he's excellent when it comes to man-to-man and it comes to the zone. Those are my top 3. I know if you guys like him or not, I don't really care, but that's what I would like to see.
I do like him. Now, let me ask you this real quick. Do you think that Caleb Downs will be there for the Bengals to take at 10? Is that who you predict that they will take?
I think so. I think Caleb Downs will be there. I know there's a lot of drafts that are going on, and they're saying, Caleb Downs could go to, the New York Giants or, go to Arizona or, whoever. There's a lot of different, instances. But I think the whole fact of the matter is where Jeremiah Love's going to go. Jeremiah Love's going to go in the top 3. I just believe it. He's going to be a top 3 pick, which is going to push. Because we're going to see Sonny Styles come off the board. Bain could come off the board before 10. Bailey, he's going to come off the board before 10. So I think there's a possibility that Downs is going to drop to number 10, and he's going to be staying in Ohio with the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, Justin, who will the Bengals take? And if you want to give us your top 3 predictions, go for it.
I'm not doing that. Tim did a lot there. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to answer the question and then stick to the 10th pick in the draft. And no, I'm not going to use the cop-out answers of Styles, Bain, and Downs. We know we want those guys. I'm game planning if those guys are not there. I truly believe that the Bengals it's going to be a toss-up between the 2 corners, Mansour Delane and Jamal McCoy. I won't feel good about either one of them, but I believe that they're probably going to go with Mansour Delane. That's what I think the 10th pick is going to be.
That would be my second answer. I feel like one of the 2 are going to be there at 10. Either Ruben Bain or Caleb Downs. I really, truly believe one of those 2 are going to slip to 10. And I think that's a great spot for the Bengals to be in. But I'm going to try and manifest this a little bit and say Caleb Downs. I think he's a little less likely to be there than Ruben Bain, but I think one of those 2 are going to be there. And I'm saying that because I was doing my top 3 right amounts, it would be Caleb Downs, Jacob Rodriguez, and Derek Moore is slipping into the 3rd round in some drafts. Now, to your point, Tim, Derek Moore, 6'4", 255 out of the University of Michigan on passing downs, had over a 38% win rate. That's huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I like that pick, and he in stature and sometimes, as you mentioned, like he's very talented. He's got a ton of different moves. When he decides to go full bore, he gets there. He has a different gear.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when he's a little lackadaisical, it reminds me, he just has some tendencies not to. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. He has tendencies not to be full throttle all the time, and when he is full throttle, he's superb. So I agree with that. Mom must be home. All right. Well, that does it. Any last words? Any closing arguments before we go to the NFL draft, gentlemen? Justin, you got anything?
Please just use the NFL draft as your guiding light to find value. Okay. There's too much talk about need this, need that. This team needs this. They shouldn't go for this. They need this. At the end of the day, the draft strategy is where you be able to employ the most value. You got to, of course, marry a little bit of the need, but you're just trying to acquire talent. Just remember that. So while you're still wrapping up with these final mocks, just think about that. Okay. Your needs today may not be your needs 5 years from now. And that's how you want to think of it. So that's what my last parting shot would be to urge draft strategists to think about that and employ that little bit of wisdom.
I love it. Tim, parting shots for you, my friend.
Yeah, I agree with Justin. Your needs and wants and Christmas wish lists, that's all they are, because we honestly don't know what the hell the Cincinnati Bengals are going to do. Let's just have a great draft. Let's have positive thoughts to the Cincinnati Bengals that Duke Tobin gets his head out of his ass and that war room is ready to draft and make the Cincinnati Bengals a different team next year. Who dey?
Tony Blaze missed the notification. Well, Tony, we were supposed to be here yesterday, so don't feel bad. You can go back and watch it on the replay or listen to it wherever you get your podcast while you're running in your car. Then you don't have to look at my ugly mug either, which, win-win. I'll tell you this, I've said it multiple times throughout the night. My thing for this draft is as follows. Raise the floor, even if it means lowering the ceiling a little bit. Get professional football players that can impact your teams immediately. It's crazy to say this. There's a lot of pieces that need to be, helped out here and there. A lot of depth that needs to be helped out here and there. But you're not that far away from being good enough to make a run. You're not that much different than the 2021 Bengals were. You're really not. You know what I mean? Like we rolled out some pretty ho-hum players in that particular year. So you get a couple of people make impact. I think you'd be right back where you want to be. And that's given, Joe Burrow a fighting chance in the playoffs. And when you have that, I think you've always got a shot, man. You got Puncher's shot. You got him leading the team. That's going to do it for us this evening. Like as I said, next week we will be not doing a Wednesday show. We will be doing some reaction shows throughout the weekend of the NFL draft, and we'll do some sort of a wrap show as well. Those will just come on sporadically as we're able to get together after picks and whatnot. So for me, Brandon Herriott, Tim Lyons, Justin Lacey, we appreciate you guys. Keep an eye out for us on those notifications next week, and check us out then as we are running through the jungle.